And if I feel there's unsafe conditions, I would call Johnny, the head of FIFA, who's phenomenal, and I would say, let's move it to another location.
With all due respect to current world leaders, football is bigger than them, and football will survive their regime, their government, their slogans.
The 2026 World Cup was supposed to be the grandest celebration football had ever seen. A moment when three nations, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, would stand together under one banner of global unity. But somewhere between the promises and the preparations, that dream began to crack. What was meant to symbolize cooperation and progress has turned into a stage of uncertainty, criticism, and political unease. The excitement that once electrified the continent has been replaced with headlines about disorganization, tension, and fading trust in American leadership. For Canada and Mexico, however, the story is different. While the United States battles growing scrutiny, both neighboring nations are earning quiet praise for their composure and efficiency. They are not stealing the spotlight. They are simply keeping it steady, showing the world what calm professionalism looks like in the middle of chaos. What was meant to be a shared moment of unity now feels like a test of credibility. The question is, can North America still deliver on its promise of a World Cup that unites the world? Or will politics and perception tear that dream apart? Before diving deeper into this unfolding story, make sure to subscribe to the African Web, where global headlines meet deeper meaning, revealing how power, leadership, and politics shape the world's biggest events. It all began with one press conference in Washington that changed the tone of global football. Cameras flashed, journalists whispered, and the world waited. Then came a statement that would shake FIFA, fans, and governments alike. If any host city was deemed unsafe, the matches would be moved elsewhere.
And if I feel there's unsafe conditions, I would call Johnny, the head of FIFA, who's phenomenal, and I would say, let's move it to another location.
The comment, presented as a bold declaration of strength, instantly spiraled into controversy. In that moment, the delicate boundary between politics and sport began to blur. The World Cup has always stood as a symbol of global unity, a rare event where borders fade and rivalries turn into friendship. Yet this single remark transformed that symbol into a battlefield of control and pride. What was supposed to reassure the public instead raised fears about instability, favoritism, and interference. Inside FIFA's headquarters, unease spread quickly. Officials met behind closed doors, worried that years of planning could be undone by political unpredictability. Vice President Victor Montalani stepped forward with carefully chosen words, reminding everyone that football is bigger than any country, bigger than any government or slogan. His message echoed across continents. The World Cup belongs to the world, not to any single nation's political agenda. As the controversy deepened, the world's eyes turned toward the United States, once hailed as the driving force of the 2026 World Cup. But confidence was fading fast. Reports of internal division, social unrest, and rising violence began to dominate global headlines. Major international outlets questioned whether America could still guarantee safety, unity, and hospitality, the very foundations of hosting a global event. Then came another layer of frustration: bureaucracy. For millions of fans hoping to attend, the U.S. visa process became a nightmare. Unlike previous tournaments where fans could enter easily with a match ticket, America's system demanded interviews, financial documents, and endless waiting periods. To many, it no longer felt like an open invitation to the world. It felt like a guarded fortress. A journalist summarized the mood perfectly. In Russia, you needed a ticket and a passport. In the US, you need time, money, and a miracle. That sentiment spread quickly. Sponsors hesitated, fans complained, and FIFA officials began reviewing contingency plans. It wasn't that the stadiums weren't ready, it was that the trust wasn't. The world started to doubt if the US could manage the World Cup without letting politics and tension overshadow the spirit of the game. While America wrestled with controversy and perception, Canada and Mexico quietly rose to the occasion. Their approach was simple, yet powerful: steady leadership, diplomatic tone, and flawless organization. Both countries kept communication clear and avoided the political storms brewing to the south. Construction targets were being met ahead of schedule, ticket systems were streamlined, and fan engagement campaigns were gaining traction worldwide. Investors began to take notice. Gradually, attention shifted north and south, with more sponsors directing resources to Canadian and Mexican venues. For FIFA, this wasn't just about logistics, it was about trust. These nations had proven they could deliver without drama, and that reliability began to shine. The partnership that once leaned heavily on America now seemed to be finding balance in its quieter members. Canada and Mexico were not trying to outshine anyone, but their calm consistency made them impossible to ignore. This shift in global perception didn't happen overnight. It built slowly, fueled by every contrasting headline. Chaos in the US, stability in its neighbors. By the time 2025 rolled in, many fans around the world began to wonder if the United States could still represent the values the World Cup was meant to celebrate. As the months unfolded, the clash between political statements and football's core values intensified. Each new comment stirred new waves of debate. FIFA's president, Gianni Infantino, found himself walking a fine line, balancing diplomatic courtesy with the need to preserve FIFA's independence. His connection with American leadership drew increasing scrutiny, as analysts questioned how far political influence could reach into the heart of global sport. Victor Montalani once again became the voice of reason. Speaking at a conference in London, his tone was calm but firm. Football will always outlast politics. Presidents come and go, but the game remains. His words struck a chord with fans and officials alike. It was a quiet rebuke, a reminder that the sport's integrity depends on keeping politics at arm's length. This ongoing tug-of-war revealed a deeper truth, that the World Cup is not just about competition or glory. It's about how nations choose to represent themselves on a stage watched by billions. When political motives start to interfere, the unity football promises begins to fracture. As the countdown to the 2026 World Cup continues, one thing has become clear. The tournament is no longer just about football. It's about leadership, diplomacy, and the image North America projects to the world. The stadiums may be ready, the infrastructure may be strong, but the question that lingers is one of trust. Can this World Cup still stand for unity, inclusion, and celebration, or will it become another casualty of political rivalry? For Canada and Mexico, this is a moment to prove that stability still holds power. For the United States, it's a test of credibility, a chance to show the world that its promise of cooperation wasn't just words on paper. The 2026 World Cup was meant to be the biggest in history, a beacon of unity across borders. Yet, as the tournament nears, it feels more like a reflection of modern global challenges, where leadership, image, and influence are on the line. So the real question is, will this World Cup bring the world closer together, or remind us just how divided it has become? And before you go, make sure to subscribe to the African Web, where stories like this uncover the deeper connections between power, politics, and the world's most defining moments. Because behind every global event, there's always more than meets the eye.